There's nothing wrong with your television set. You don't see anything because there's nothing there. Abortion, the most common surgery in America. Why don't we ever see what it looks like? A message from Priests for Life.
That was a powerful spot, wasn't it? But so true. You know, as Father Pavone always says, America will not reject abortion unless America sees abortion. And when you think about it, you know, abortion is such a common procedure. Of course, it's billed as health care, but people don't even want to talk about abortion, let alone see what an abortion does to an unborn child. But can you imagine if they actually could see what an abortion was? Because, you know, very often people cloud this issue in nice words like, oh, it's freedom of choice for women. Oh, it's health care for women. No, it's the death of a baby. And in some cases, the death of the woman or physical damage to the woman. So abortion really isn't solving these women's problems. As we know from the Silent No More Awareness campaign, it creates all these other problems. But yet we're afraid to face what abortion really is. You know, when Father Pavone says America will not reject abortion until America sees abortion, he is so right. Because when you think about it, any time there's been social reform in our country of an injustice, so we can always go back to the beginning of last century, you know, child labor was very common in factories, like in big cities like New York. Children, yes, children, 8, 9, 10 years old, were being abused and used in factories and being injured and maimed and hurt by the machinery and everything. And this went on for decades until a photographer took pictures of the conditions in the factories and what was happening to those children. And when people saw the pictures of the children being hurt, they said, this has to stop. We have to do something about this. And that's how we got child labor laws. And you can go on about other injustices. Think about slavery. Think about even the civil rights movement. Dr. King and his followers, basically, we woke up as a nation when what? We saw the fire hoses being turned on them and the dogs and things like that. So when you see social reform in our country happens when people see the injustice. So is true with abortion. Until we face and see what abortion really is, we're not going to change much. But this is where we can show you how this can happen. Well, a few years ago, again, Father Pavone and I did the programs for Sky Angel called the Gospel of Life shows. And one such show, what we did was we actually showed footage from a press conference we did in Washington, D.C. And this had to do with a project that we still have happening here at Priests for Life. Because until we end abortion, we're going to have to keep showing people what abortion is. So this project is called Is This What You Mean? And what we did was we challenged public officials to say, if you're talking about abortion, show them the procedure and say, is this what you mean? So we did a whole show on the Gospel of Life shows where we showed you the actual press conference we had in Washington, D.C. about launching this project. So let's take a look at that Gospel Life show.
Pro-abortion members of Congress got a surprise visit from some men of God recently. Find out more next on Gospel of Life. Hello, I'm Father Frank Pavone, Director of Gospel of Life Ministries. Welcome to our program. I'm joined by Janet Morana, our Associate Director. And Janet, recently, our pastoral team and I, several other priests, Dr. Alveda King, Jim Pinto, and others, went to Congress. And we spent 3 full days walking the halls of Congress. We visited only the most pro-abortion members of the House of Representatives and the Senate. And this is part of our Is This What You Mean campaign, and we're going to talk about that today.
That's right. You know, because very often we hear, you know, candidates and congresspeople and senators stand up and say, I'm pro-choice. They like that word choice. Sounds nice, warm and fuzzy, and everything's good. Well, we're all for choice. You know, Father, like, we're going to choose breakfast cereal or the flavor of ice cream. But what they're using that word choice to couch is that they are for abortion, pro-abortion. That's their voting record. That's where the stand they take. And they say, well, you know, what my personal opinion is doesn't matter. I have to represent all my constituents, and therefore I have to be pro-choice or pro-abortion. And what you did with the rest of our team is you went in there and said, you showed them what abortion was. We have those diagrams from Nucleus Medical Arts, which show the first and second trimester abortion. And you had them in a nice informational packet. I know you went in and sat before these congressmen and their staff, opened up the diagrams, and I think you should tell us a little bit, Father. It was an eye-opening experience, wasn't it, when they saw the diagrams?
Let me explain what we're trying to accomplish here. The word abortion, no matter how they use it, no matter what arguments they use in favor of it, no matter how they justify their stance, whether they want to call it pro-abortion, pro-choice, or some other term anywhere from their vocabulary, it doesn't matter. What we're saying is this what you mean by the word abortion?
Right.
We're just showing them, and we're showing them not something from the Bible or from the Catechism of the Church or from the pro-life movement. We're showing them the words of the abortionists themselves, as well as the diagrams, as you said, of the most common abortion procedures, the suction, curettage abortion, and the D&E, dilation and evacuation. We took the words of the abortionists from the medical textbooks. For example, Dr. Warren Hearn's book, Abortion Practice. In there, he uses the words dismember, decapitate. He says a long curved Mayo scissors may be necessary to decapitate and dismember the fetus. Well, is this what you mean by the word abortion? And all we're trying to do, as we explained to them, was establish a starting point. We understand that people will come to different conclusions about the legality or constitutionality of these procedures. We understand that. We're getting back to the beginnings, however. We can't have a different starting point. We have to be talking about the same thing. We have to make sure we're talking about the same thing. And as you'll see in this clip that we're going to play from the press conference we had after we made these visits, that was the simple question, period, amen. If you're going to support abortion, if you're going to say it should be legal, whatever other arguments you want to make, we're demanding that you be honest about what abortion is in the first place.
That's right. Well, let's take a look right now, Father, at that clip of the National Press Club.
In these weeks before our national elections, we are asking all of those who believe that abortion should be legal to answer a simple question. We present the words of the abortionists themselves, and then we ask, when you say the word abortion, is this what you mean? In the last few days, we have respectfully brought that question to our elected representatives in the U.S. House and Senate. We have presented them with quotations from abortionists, as found in medical textbooks and court testimony. We have given them the medical diagrams of the two most common abortion procedures. And we have asked, when you say the word abortion, is this what you mean? Here are some of those quotes. For first trimester suction abortion, Dr. Harlan Raymond Giles, an abortionist, was asked in sworn testimony given in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Wisconsin in May of 1999, quote, can the heart of a fetus or embryo still be beating during a suction curettage abortion as the fetus or embryo comes down the cannula? Answer, for a few seconds to a minute, yes. Dr. Martin Haskell testified as follows in the same case. Quote, the fetus passes through the catheter and either dies in transit as it's passing through the catheter or dies in the suction bottle after it's actually all the way out. In reference to second trimester D&E abortion, Dr. Warren Hearn writes the following in his medical textbook, Abortion Practice, on page 154. Quote, a long, curved Mayo scissors may be necessary to decapitate and dismember the fetus. The U.S. Supreme Court, in Gonzalez v. Carhart in April of 2007, describes the D&E abortion procedure as follows, quote, the friction causes the fetus to tear apart. For example, a leg might be ripped off as the fetus off the fetus as it is passed through the cervix, end of quote. We would attack the lower part of the lower extremity first, remove, possibly a foot, then the lower leg at the knee, And then finally, we get to the hip. End of quote. It simply asks abortion supporters what they mean by the word. Anyone using the word abortion should be able to answer that question. Moreover, this project is completely nonpartisan and applies to people of any political party, or no party at all. To evade the question suggests an unwillingness to face what abortion is, and therefore raises the further question as to why someone would support the legal continuation of a procedure that they cannot even bring themselves to describe. Our staff will follow up with the staffs of the members of Congress whom we visited in order to receive their answer to this simple question. We will then publicize the answer to their constituents. Meanwhile, we invite the constituents to join us in asking their elected representatives this question. People can join their name to this project at our project website, priestsforlife.org/isthiswhatyoumean. We will indicate to the members of Congress the names of those who have joined us in this campaign. When the question is asked publicly, the public, as well as the public officials being addressed, is educated regarding what abortion is. And that is the primary benefit of this project. We urge local residents, therefore, to ask this question at town hall meetings with candidates and with any other public officials who support the legality of abortion. After the elections, the Is This What You Mean campaign will continue in the same fashion and can be applied to people in any profession who support the legality of abortion. It can be used as an effective tool in private conversation as well. Once again, then, to politicians and to others who support the legality of abortion, this campaign says, if you're going to take a position on abortion, then you're going to have to come clean about what it is. We're no longer going to let you obscure or trivialize the issue. Whether people agree with you or not, you owe it to them to be honest about what you're talking about. And therefore, we issue this simple call to honesty. We will describe abortion to you. You tell us if that's what you're talking about.
Well, friends, as you can see, it's pretty basic. It's pretty straightforward. And Janet, the reactions of these people were, many of them were squirming in their seats. We got a chance to meet with some of the actual members of Congress, but also their key legislative advisors. And this sometimes is even more important than meeting with the member, is meeting with the people who advise them on abortion. I had people in those meetings say to me, oh, well, no one ever asked us this question before. I had other people say, oh, we never saw these diagrams before. And it's like, you're advising a top senator on abortion and you don't even know what it is? Or we asked the aides themselves. We said, look, we're looking for a response from the senator or from the representative on, is this what he means by abortion, or she? But let's ask you, what do you mean by the word? Is this what you mean? And some of them said, well, I really don't know, and I don't know what the senator would think. And it's like, well, then how have you been able to have a conversation about abortion in the past if the two of you don't know what you even mean by the word?
That's right. And when a particular bill comes, to try to get out of committee, how can you advise, if there's something about abortion there, yes or no, oh, we should or shouldn't support something when you've never even seen what an abortion looks like. It's incredible.
It really is. And we also had Dr. Elvita King with us and our good friend, Dr. Tony Levatino.
That's right. Dr. Levatino himself was an abortionist. He had a practice in New York State, and he performed abortion. And he had a particular conversion, in his life, and then now is 100% pro-life. But he goes around speaking about the procedure from his actual practical viewpoint and actually bringing forth the instruments that were actually used in abortion. And I know they were both at that press conference.
Let's take a look at that clip also.
I am a board-certified obstetrician-gynecologist. I completed my residency training in 1980 at the Albany Medical College in Albany, New York. During my residency, I was trained to perform first and second trimester abortions. I continued to perform these procedures during my first 5 years in private practice. Between July 1980 and February 1985, I performed approximately 1,200 first and second trimester abortions. I want you to imagine for a minute that you are pro-choice obstetrician gynecologist like I once was. Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 20 weeks pregnant. There's a model of a 20-week baby over there if you want to see it. But at 20 weeks, a baby is about the length of your hand from your tip of your fingers to your wrist, and that's not including the legs. She's been feeling her baby kick for the last 2 weeks. But now she's asleep on an operating room table, and you're going to take care of her problem pregnancy. You walk into that operating room scrubbed and get your gown, and on the right side of the table is a smaller table that contains the instruments that you're going to use. Picture yourself, the first thing you're going to reach for is a suction catheter. This is a 14 French suction catheter. It's about 9 inches long. It's clear plastic. There's an open bore through the center. And I want you to picture yourself literally putting this catheter up through the cervix, up into the uterus where the baby is currently residing. And you instruct your circulating nurse to turn on a suction machine. Now what you'll see is some pale yellow fluid running through this into the tubing into the suction machine. That was the amniotic fluid that was there to protect the baby. Now if this were a suction D&C abortion and this baby was 12 weeks of gestational age or less, you could almost do the entire abortion with this one instrument. A baby at 12 weeks is about the width of your hand, but babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. So when you're done with that, you put that aside and you want to reach for your Sofer clamp. A Sofer clamp is a grasping instrument. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and maybe a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide. You're welcome to look at this afterwards. And if you do, you'll see that it has rows of sharp teeth at one end. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. Now, a suction D&E abortion is a procedure that's done totally blind. There's no visualization of any kind. The uterine walls are soft and thin, so you have to be very careful not to perforate them. You introduce this instrument, picture yourself putting this up through the cervix and reaching blindly around for anything you can get a hold of. When you get a hold of something, you start to pull. And I mean pull hard. And picture yourself doing that when suddenly it lets go and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. And you reach in again and you kind of grab anything you can and again pull hard, and when it pops free, out pops an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And reach in with this clamp again and again and tear out the intestines, spine, heart and lungs. Tough part of that procedure is the baby's head. It's the size of a plum and now it's floating around free inside the uterus. Again, this procedure is done totally by feel only. You're pretty sure you've got a hold of it if you've got a hold of something in the uterus and your fingers are spread as far as they will go. You know you did it right when you crush down in the clamp and some white material comes running out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you pull out skull pieces. And if you have a real bad day like I had a lot of times, sometimes a little face will come back and stare back at you. Congratulations. You just performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose. You just made $600 cash in 15 minutes.
Dr. Levatino, could you come just one moment? I have a dream, it's in my genes, and as a niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I sometimes take the license as a preacher, so before I give my formal statement, I want to share with you that in Scripture, there's a parable or a story, a woman who had sinned, and as those who were there who wanted to accuse her, Christ talked about which person has more reason to rejoice in the goodness of the Lord. Those who have little to repent and confess for, or those who have many. And so with Dr. Levatino standing here with me, he performed abortions, and of course I, as a post-abortive mother, was involved in abortions and a miscarriage. And so I say to our critics, as my Lord would have said, "Ye who is without sin, cast the first stone." And so we greet you with love and with encouragement and hope today. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Well, friends, a very moving testimony. Now, Janet and I want to invite you to participate in this Is This What You Mean campaign. And this is how you can do so. Go to gospeloflife.com and let us know that the next time we go into these offices and we ask these members of Congress, is this what you mean by abortion? Let us tell them that you are asking the question too. In other words, Janet, we want to be able to go into these offices and put on their desk not just the diagrams of the procedure and the quotations like we already did, but thousands of pages of names of their constituents asking the very same question and demanding a clear answer.
That's right. You know, I know when you went in, Father, because you had an entourage with you of Dr. King, Dr. Levatino, and other clergy, they were impressed.
Yes.
But imagine a pile of signatures of not just pro-lifers anywhere in the country, but voters from their district.
Their own district.
That's right.
That's what we need.
That's right.
That's what we need, because brothers and sisters, they may not listen to the arguments. They may not even listen to the descriptions of the procedure, but they'll listen to you because you give them a job. You vote them in or you vote them out. And you're the ones they need to hear from. We're willing to be that bridge to them for you. gospeloflife.com, click on the link for Is This What You Mean? Sign up on that form today, because we want to plan again another visit very soon where we can actually bring your names with us. Very important project.
That's right. And let's hope everyone participates. And also they can get those diagrams from us. Those Nucleus Medical Arts, we'll send them free of charge. They can use those to convert their own friends and circle of influence who might say they're pro-choice. They could do this project in their own community too.
Stay with us for our action segment.
Wasn't Dr. Levatino's testimony powerful, amazing? And, you know, he's one of our medical advisors here at Priest for Life. And, of course, you know, Dr. Levatino had performed many abortions over the years. And, of course, got out of the industry, has been 100% pro-life for many years now, and still speaks publicly about his time as an abortionist and the children that he killed and his regret for that. So we're very blessed to have Dr. Levatino as part of our ministry. And also, too, with this project, Is This What You Mean? This is a project you can get involved with. So I want to tell you to go to our website, priestforlife.org/Is This What You Mean? The diagrams and the procedures that Dr. Lativa spoke about, we actually have diagrams of the first and second trimester abortion. And this is what we're talking about, showing. Imagine, can you imagine this? You have someone you know, and this is where you can kind of share this now that you're stuck at home with the pandemic. Let's say you have some pro-choice friends who say, oh yeah, I think women should have the right to have an abortion. It should remain legal. Why don't you challenge them? Say, you know what? Have you ever seen what an abortion looks like? And of course, they're probably going to tell you absolutely no. Well, what you could do is send them a link to these pictures, to these diagrams, to these images, and say, well, this is the choice you're supporting. This is what we mean when we say abortion. Now, if they're looking at that image, can you tell me you're still in favor of abortion? I guarantee you, while sitting home during this pandemic, we can change hearts and minds on this issue. We have another page of the website, besides the priestforlife.org/is this what you mean, where the diagrams are. I want to challenge you also to go to priestforlife.org/images. And there we have the largest collection of pictures of children who've been killed from abortion. I invite you to look at those pictures and share those pictures. Do you realize of our entire Priest for Life website, the pages that are viewed the most often, consistently, every month, are those image pictures? Because you know what? People really, really, I think deep down, they know abortion is wrong and they want to seek the truth. So I'm challenging you during this pandemic that you can see how many hearts and minds you can change by showing them the images, by showing them, if you're for abortion, is this what you mean? This is what abortion does to an unborn child. This is what the procedure is like. And see if they can get them out of their comfort zone, so to speak, where they're just sitting back thinking they're pro-choice, and show them what that choice means. Well, again, be in touch with us during this pandemic. We're here for you. If you have a question, send it to mail@priestforlife.org. Our staff is still here and they can answer your questions. And let's all of us, of course, pray for an end to abortion. So go to our prayercampaign.org, where every day you could be saying a prayer to bring an end to abortion. Thank you, and God bless.